The next application exercise asked you a question that could go any which way. One could predict that the taxis are just on their way out. We could predict that Ubers are going to get more regulated and taxis are going to innovate to become more like Ubers. That would be my prediction, but we'll see. We could predict that some people will still prefer the taxis and that maybe we'll go the way of Amsterdam. Rachel mentioned that in Amsterdam the taxis exist as super luxury options that are there, Teslas and super leather seats and probably a lot of high-end service. Well, we won't talk about that, Amsterdam and all. New York City taxi market will experience innovation and growth, and maybe the taxis figure some way to compete and stay in business. Time will tell. But the main thing here is to give us practice with a demand event. So let's move to the technical analysis because I know that's what you guys love the most. All right, here we have our usual starting equilibrium framework. The firms in the industry are earning zero profits. This just enables us to focus in on this event. It doesn't assert that markets are often in equilibrium. It's a constantly changing world out there, but this framework lets us focus in on the effects of one particular change. All right, so we map it as a situation that nothing was to change. That's how we start. All right, now let's think about the short-run effects of this demand event. Well, this is the New York City taxi market. Uber and Lyft have emerged. People take those instead of taxis. They're more convenient. They're cheaper. They're nicer. Anyway, this is going to be a demand event. So demand is shift to the left. Again, I'm doing my short-run analysis in blue. What I wanted to mention in the previous screencast is it's really helpful to indicate how curve shifts, not just through labeling, that's necessary, but also with arrows. So this is the demand falls. That's supposed to be a little arrow, to the downward arrow, meaning demand falls. It's got to be shorthand, right? All right, so there's a new market price. These demand events we analyze first in the market side of the framework, and then that market event feeds back primarily through this falling price that people are willing to pay for taxi rides. In the real world, prices are a little sticky, but the fact is this drop in demand will put downward pressure on price. Notice that taxi companies now were breaking even. Now they're making a loss at the smaller level of output. ATC1 is above P1. The best firms can do now is to make this loss, a short-run economic loss, equal in area to the area of that rectangle. Let me just point out something. Price minus average total cost, and of course average total cost is higher, so that's a negative number. That's the loss per mile driven, and then we multiply that out by the miles driven to get total loss in this time period. This is a year. All right, well, that's our short-run analysis. It's a little bit simpler than the variable cost increase where we saw both the marginal cost and the average total cost curve shift. In this case, we're assuming it's a constant cost industry, so that as taxi firms exit, the cost function of the remaining firms doesn't change. That's a simplifying assumption, probably unrealistic in many markets. Well, definitely unrealistic in many markets. Might not be too bad in taxis. Anyway, that's a demand analysis. I would encourage you to do a demand analysis, an analysis of a demand increase. All right, well, that's the end of the short run. Let's do the long run now. We notice again that firms are losing money in the short run. And again, that's going to cause exit. How much exit? Well, the survivors, if they're going to make it, are going to need to break even again. So firms are going to keep exiting. Market supply is going to go up as we count output across fewer and fewer firms. When I say up, I mean shifting up. That's obviously a fall in supply. That's a little bit confusing, but we're used to it by now. The nomenclature of supply shifts, a fall in supply is that the marginal cost of offering each mile is getting higher. That's why this curve is shifting up. This supply curve is remember, the marginal cost curve of the industry summed up across all firms. So I'm just going to sigma the multiple of the marginal cost. All right, so to finish this long run analysis, notice that exit's going to happen until the survivors can break even. That means, given our assumption of constant cost industry, price is going to return to its original level. In fact, we can even talk about a long run supply curve. Yes, long run, that would be flat in the case of a constant cost industry. The survivors are going to be back to their original level of output Q naught, and there we have it.